In a rare case of a governmental entity at the very least contemplating doing its job, the FTC is allegedly planning to intervene in Microsoft's purchase of Activision. Though, do bear in mind, this is very much so a rumour-level thing coming from, well, sources granted anonymity to discuss a confidential matter. Yes, anonymous sources, meaning that at the very least you are dealing with snitches, and more than likely you are dealing with liars, as we saw a brilliant example of quite recently with Ukraine, of course, where a supposed US government intelligence officer alleged that Russia had randomly started bombing Poland with missiles, which turned out to have been a pair of Ukrainian anti-air rockets. That reporter has since been fired, by the way, and frankly, that should be the least of the consequences that irresponsible little bastard should be facing, but oh well, we are wandering off the point, are we not? So the Activision purchase has been running into a lot of roadblocks and, well, I mean, are you surprised? This is very obviously Microsoft trying to secure themselves a very large slice of the video gaming market here, as this is a $69 billion purchase. The United Kingdom has already challenged this, as has the European Union, and if the FTC also decides to join in the gangbang, then this is going to be a very difficult and expensive purchase for Microsoft to go through with. And again, the reason why all of these concerns are being raised is because, well, quite recently, Microsoft decided to buy Bethesda for, what was it? Oh, actually, it says right there, $7.5 billion to acquire ZeniMax Media. Yeah, that was a pretty major acquisition right there, granting them the rights to Doom and Fallout and Elder Scrolls and a bunch of other nonsense. And there were concerns raised already then that Microsoft would be using this access to these major producers as a cudgel against its competitors. But, of course, Microsoft promised that no, we would never do such a thing. Just like they're promising now that no, we would never make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive. What, are we crazy? Well, so, the tune has changed ever so slightly. Elder Scrolls 6 availability, Microsoft confirms it will not launch on PlayStation. That kind of does sound like a pretty major exclusivity right there now, doesn't it? So how do they justify that? Well, they made a comment on it here, because they promised again, oh, they were... Call of Duty will never be an Xbox exclusive? Of course not! It is but you know, Bethesda, it's a mid-sized game. Yes, Elder Scrolls 6 is a mid-sized game, and therefore that's fine. See, that's not a problem, because it's a mid-sized game. The Elder Scrolls 6 is, by Microsoft's judgment, a mid-sized game. Skyrim has literally been released on more goddamn consoles and platforms than what, any other video game, pretty much? But no, its sequel will be, medium scale. Yeah, no. Microsoft is obviously lying through its ass here, and whilst I'm sure that a couple of Call of Duties will be available for PlayStation as well, just so they won't appear like obvious lying assholes, it will go Xbox exclusive sooner rather than later if Microsoft manages to go through with the acquisition. That I can pretty much guarantee. And in the current day gaming market as well, where also EA is apparently throwing out all kinds of suggestions that they too would like to be somebody's property, there certainly is a market situation right now where Microsoft, which again has demonstrated the ability to throw around truly ludicrous quantities of cash, might pretty much corner the entire goddamn market. Yeah. The primary competitors that have also been asked about this, stuff like Google and Sony, have also said that, yeah, no, if this goes through, we don't really have a good of a chance here. I believe what Sony said that what was it in the filings, that Microsoft was basically offering so much money that Sony just couldn't even contemplate competing. And at $69 billion, yeah, you can kind of see that argument. And again, think about what this will give Microsoft, right? So they'll get Doom, they'll get Elder Scrolls, they'll get Fallout, they'll get World of Warcraft, they'll get the entirety of the World of Warcraft thing, they'll get StarCraft, they'll get Call of Duty, they'll get Candy Crush, and a huge, tremendous slice of the casual gaming market, as well as the hardcore one. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a good thing. See, because here's the thing too, right? Microsoft, in Microsoft's defense, have actually been relatively good to gamers, particularly in the case of stuff like Age of Empires, for example. They're not the scummiest company out there, although they are also a company that literally just, takes fines for anti-competing practices because they have that much money, so they do have a little bit of a history with this. But again, this is really a pretty large cornering of the gaming market, so I'm getting less and less sure on it, really. And, I mean, they can't be worse than Activision, can they? Surely, at the very least, this would hand the stuff like Warcraft over to somebody who might actually continue making Warcraft games, like, Warcraft Strategy, instead of the Warcraft 3 Reforged disaster. It may be an employer that will sexually molest a few less of its employees. Who knows? See, because I agree, like, this would probably be a danger to competition in the video gaming market, almost surely. And even Microsoft's arguments are not very good, like Elder Scrolls 6 is a medium-scale title, or how they're facing ever-increasing competition from abroad. Oh, really now? Like who? I mean, Tencent, I guess. Like, some of the biggest companies on Earth, maybe. But that's the problem, isn't it? That is the very issue that the FTC was created to try and avoid, where competition becomes not a question of lots of medium-scale entities, but rather 2 or 3 absolutely enormously gigantic ones. So yeah, that kind of sounds like the scenario that the FTC wants to avoid, rather than try to actually cause. It's like, hey, we've got to compete with somebody. Oh, who is it? Well, literally the largest company in existence, pretty much, which is essentially a Chinese state government company. Well, what impact will that have on US competition? Well, it'll cease to exist. Okay. Maybe not quite that harsh, but not necessarily that far from it either. I'm a little bit divided on this, because, again, I don't really necessarily mind Microsoft that much, but it will also make them pretty much the video game company too. Yeah, It is difficult to say, but I would probably lean towards maybe not allowing this, particularly as Activision itself is, well, that isn't even necessarily the biggest problem, because that'll garner Microsoft a lot of titles, but with this kind of spending power, and if they can get away with this, then they can literally use this as an argument in the future. Well, you let us buy Activision, so why not let us buy this, or that, and etc. And Sony's arguments will fall on deaf ears yet again. But with 3 loops to jump through, the United Kingdom, the EU, and potentially now the US, is going to be a very difficult acquisition, and hey, it is, ironically, an example of the system actually working for once, because a $69 billion purchase should be raising some anti-competition flags in pretty much every governmental entity that has to do with this nonsense, because, yeah, $69 billion. Somebody clearly thinks that Activision is incredibly valuable, and seeing as, again, they've already picked up other valuable entities and already started backtracking just a little bitty itsy bitsy on that, you might want to be a bit careful. Microsoft, eh? I mean, it would be potentially a return to Microsoft as a proper gaming giant, as long as we don't get that Microsoft thingity-bob again. What was it that, they had a gaming service, like, the not Xbox Live. Games for Windows Live, was that it? I remember I had to suffer through that piece of shit whilst playing Dawn of War 2 back in the day. It was not very good, so I hope they don't try that again, but with every other company trying to make their own subscription services and stores, etc., that seems rather unlikely. Yes, maybe the Microsoft purchase will be a terrible idea anyways, but it could also mean the death of Battle.net, I guess. See? It is very difficult for me to arrive at a purely positive or negative in this situation. There are too many entities that might die and or live, regardless of what happens here. But yeah, I'm a bit divided on the matter, but it is very interesting to see that even the FTC, which has so far been extraordinarily lazy on these things, is finally stepping up to do something they should have been doing years ago. We should never have arrived in this position to begin with. Like, even the Activision Blizzard thing was probably a bit of a dirty merger acquisition right there, so hey, better late than never, maybe? Do let me know what you think in the comment section down below as well, and I will hopefully see you all again soon. Until next time, I have been Arch, and have a good day.